Okay, welcome back to the Zodiac trial. Last time we finished up. This time we got some interview rooms to go through. I suppose. We have the most influential characters in the ultimate plot, I suppose. The one who provoked the mastermind into action in the Zodiac bid. The one who provoked the mastermind into action in the Zodiac race. And thwarted the mastermind's plan in the Zodiac race. The co-mastermind. And the mastermind. Let's get this over with, shall we? Oh, well, isn't this quite fascinating? So, is this hell? Can't imagine it to be heaven. But no, it doesn't seem hellish enough either. A purgatory, then. Then, are you here to judge my sins? To ask me some questions? Can't imagine you'll find my answers satisfactory. Still, you have my attention. Oh, goodness. No more questions! You ever genuinely like Rooster? Much as I could genuinely like somebody. Yes, I did. I mean, what wasn't to like? He helped me out when I was at a low point in life. He's reasonably good-looking. He's charming, in a dumb sort of way. He was genuinely caring when we were together. And he's quite talented. What's not to like? In earnest, this was a case where the problem wasn't with him, but with me. And why do you think I helped host the Zodiac trial in the first place? Despite how I may have come across, I am not a complete sadist. And if I was, there was certainly more practical ways to achieve such ends. Admittedly, I pushed Brian and Rooster towards their conclusions. Admittedly, this wasn't the most necessary way to achieve our ends. But it really was motivated, deep down, by a desire to help Rooster. No, help is too kind a word. It's viewing Rooster as a lifelong partner. In that context, it would be advantageous to deal with his problems, and to boost his career. Rooster might think things would have worked out without my involvement, but that's naive. The world rarely rewards talent. You need luck. In the absence of luck, you need cruelty. But wouldn't Rooster's career path be predetermined? Oliver Bowen was still investigating his brother's death, and Brian was investigating his father's case. As far as Rooster knew, both Dragon and Snake had testimonies that could hang him, and his was moving nowhere fast. Well, based on that, your philosophy towards life gets thrown out the window when it comes to someone that you remotely care about. With a single plan, the three figures who could go against him were taken care of. The police had to double down on their past conclusion, and Rooster was primed for stardom. You might think the plan too extreme. This was something set to fix Rooster's life in a single sweep. To fix a life, you'd think the plan ought to be extreme, no? Your relationship with Mouse, then? I admired her. I truly did. She was quite a quite remarkable woman. Very intelligent, quite self-aware. Charming. More than anything, I felt some sense of camaraderie with her. Like me, she was able to shut out her emotions. Don't get me wrong, our conditions were nothing alike. But still, it was more a connection than I had with most people. I regret hurting her through everything. But well, it was inevitable. I was working on a death game with one client. Needed ways to mitigate personal suspicion. I just happened to have another client with clear ties to the first client. Someone who could plausibly be another target. Someone who indicated all the traits those susceptible to hypnosis possess. You couldn't expect me to not make use of the situation. That'd be tantamount to denying fate. And you're back on that. How'd you get Brian to go along with the plan? People are really simple. It didn't take much to get him dancing to my pace. long as I took my time, I could push him to anything. It helped that when he was already predisposed to come up with something like the Zodiac trial. He was motivated, unhinged, intelligent, and vengeful. The perfect combination. But then a careful drip feed of information. Long conversations, careful to implant that he couldn't let my involvement get out in any way. And once I had successfully sold him on the conspiracy, a slight offering of a solution. Making sure he knew I was on his side. The trick was suggesting the premise before he was ready to act on it, but after he would no longer tell anybody I had suggested it. But reading his progress wasn't hard. Once he came on board, he actually became harder to control. When discussing this plan, he got all these unnecessary ideas. Additional rules, making my demon's job harder and harder. You were the Laplace's demon of the game. Overly convoluting a plan, I wonder where he got that from. Anyways, to make it incredibly simple, Brian was a lonely, pathetic, broken kid. He didn't have direction. He didn't have a place to turn to. I became his friend. Then I became his confidant. Once I was his confidant, the one he trusted above everything else, it was a one-player game. It was just a matter of time before I had my way.
You gave him an outlet for the fantasies of a kid who has suffered injustice. And then you gave him the means to execute it. And then you used those means to cover up your own complicity. I just made up a word there. Okay? Oh, God. In his father's murder. Is there anything Brian suffered worst out of it? Certainly up there in terms of suffering. Used by this therapist to help free the person who actually killed his father. Who indirectly got his father killed. That is the man who actually killed Amadeus Bowman. Why was the second death game? Let me make an assumption. You, like Rooster, believe I was unnecessary in my actions. Perhaps I indulged myself a bit much. Particularly towards the ends. My actions were not without thought. As I explained at the time, my life of control was dependent on getting rid of those loose ends. Simply put, all 11 of them had to be dealt with. Dealing with them individually would be too much of a hassle. And something open-ended like a bombing would lead to more scrutiny. It would lead to my personal survival being in question. Blaming it on a second death game hosted by a deranged follower of Brian was well within the scope of Oliver's influence. And it gave me an out. I'd simply need to claim that the game was cutthroat. And at the last moment I prioritized my own survival over someone else who tried to win alone. I'd be repentant, an unwilling murderer, and many would have maligned me. Most would be sensible enough to recognize me as a victim, forced to act by another true villain. Though Oliver and his pawns could control much for things to be reliable. I needed to make their eventual jobs as easy as possible. So I needed the death game to be realistic. I needed the computers coded, I needed the bombs set. And while it may have been unnecessary to allow things to go on as long as they did, evidence that people had been participating in this death game would certainly help. My mistake was murdering Pig. But when I saw her trying to hack the computer, I should have pulled out the control phone and blown everyone besides myself up. I had to pinpoint it, and that was the exact moment I got lost in playing my games. But can you really blame me? It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. If anything went wrong, I was a button press away from solving everything.
Letting my guard down was inevitable. It is funny how, in Monkey's perception of how Mouse's route would play out, Mouse essentially went about doing the same thing, plotting a murder and trying to get away with it. And that was also the point where things kind of started spiraling out of control. For her. In this case, oddly, I feel like it could have worked. Like, that was a setup that would have worked well for her. A series of murders in the death game, just like before. But alas, she couldn't finish off Rooster. And she exposed herself in that moment. What are your plans for the flash drive? Who's to say? Much as I teased the thought, I highly doubt I would have done anything remotely as bad as the death games again. But I like to have my fun. I was motivated by quite rational reasoning. Point of order, abusing the flash drive too much would inevitably lead to my downfall. Simply extorting money would probably be enough. I could live comfortably with freedom, with control. And if I did borrow things, there are plenty of ways for the rich to entertain themselves that don't stoop to such crassness. Really, I was a step away from a good ending. Huh. That's the way of putting it. What are your thoughts? Well, as you can imagine, I'm none too pleased with everything. I passed away far too young. I could have lived a long, happy life. Especially if I had that flash drive. What bothers me the most, I suppose, is that I shall be viewed as some evil monster when all is said and done. Not because of my actions, but because of my motivations. If I organized that first death game, not for my own reasons, but because I was head over heels with my true love, would do anything for him. Would that be better? Had I killed Dog from some place of righteous vengeance, having become fed up with injustice, would I merit sympathy? If every detail of the second death game was purely motivated by what personality benefit me the most, what would personally benefit me the most, it would be cold-blooded and calculating, but somehow understandable. But as it stands, I wasn't just evil, I was crazy evil. Tell me, is that a fair way to view things? If you ask me, the man motivated by a petty sense of vengeance, woman motivated by pure love, they are far more villainous. They clearly possess the ability to do good or evil, yet they fall to evil. For someone like me, even if I can comprehend morality as a matter of fact, I could never really feel it. In that sense, isn't it far more justifiable that I do such a reprehensible act? No. More excuses. Truth is, there are tons of aneurotypical people in this world. 99.9999999% of them live well-adjusted, decent lives. This is not an issue of how my brain works. I guess I am just a bad person, huh? An odd revelation come to so late. Had I come to this conclusion earlier, would anything have changed? I'm curious.
Okay. That actually addresses the one thing I wasn't sure how I felt about Monkey's reveal and motivations. That actually addresses that problem. In the sense that if If you're a bad person, you're just a bad person. If you're suffering from mental illness, you deserve to get help and get better. Live a healthy, happy life. But if you use that as an excuse for treating people like shit, then you're just a piece of shit. No question there. So, bit satisfied to see you come to that realization here. No more questions.
I hope I answered your queries to your satisfaction.
Goodbye. Okay. We're gonna take a break. We'll return with the man of the hour himself. Okay, moving along. Rooster time. Ugh. This dream again, huh? Either let me fully wake up or die, but keep me in this limbo is just lame. Oh, no use beating around the bush, I guess. Hi there, it's me, Rooster. You're here for the interview, I presume. Alright, let's start. How'd you get into acting? How most people get into acting. I saw actors on the television and just wanted to emulate them. It seemed like a fun job. A dream job. It's like any job you want to have as a kid. Just like becoming a pop star or an astronaut. Only difference, I suppose, is that I never grew out of it. Whether you want to chalk it up to naivety, stubbornness, or determination depends on how much credit you're willing to give me. To be fair, I clearly was up to the challenge. I was always a performer. I loved making people react how I wanted them to. I also learned how to lie at a young age, which, helped. My parents were more than willing to sign me up for acting lessons. And I was good at it. I killed school plays, improv clubs, I even made very high-quality home videos. YouTube at youtube.com/roosteryt. Also, if I'm being honest, well, I'm not exactly dumb. I certainly didn't do good in school. But in a sense, it felt like acting was my only way forwards. I had no reason to believe that it wouldn't work. After all, I'd never really been faced with any real sense of adversity before in my life. Things would just continue to work out. Until that one argument. I just came to a realization about something, which I'll get into once we're done with Rooster if I remember, but... Yes, that one argument. How's your career going? I hyped myself up, sure, but I definitely was on the right track. To be clear, there was a real rough stretch in my life after I got cut off by my parents. Took a lot of odd jobs I might have considered beneath me. Really douchey way of viewing things, huh? Yeah, well, it was what it was. Eventually, though, I was able to get on my feet. Landed a couple commercials. Small-time shit, but even that was huge for me. At the time, I was also working with a bunch of people I met in film school. I encouraged them to make their own projects and landed starring roles in them. The films themselves didn't do entirely well, critically or commercially. However, my performances were legitimately praised. There's not a lot I pride myself on, but I am a good actor. Don't get that twisted. You are correct. You are actually a quite good actor. I had enough heat to start landing minor roles in actual shows. I even got to be a minor character in a pretty big movie. I was on my way up. Before I got in my own way. But you know, I've never been the patient type. Okay, what happened with Amadeus Bowen? Amadeus Bowen. Bastard. First time I met with him, it was under the pretense of asking for a product placement deal in one of the smaller films I worked on. And even if I didn't already know what I knew, I would have written him off as an asshole. He spoke with an overwhelming sense of smugness, entitlement. Worst part about it was that he seemed charming at first. Beyond closed doors, he was a suave, funny, affable fellow. He treated me very kindly, at first. After negotiations began, he completely wrote off my offer. My use. He stopped trying to hide the sense of superiority he felt. I became obsessed with that man. Online I dug deep, found countless horror stories of his sins. Some of them, maybe most of them, they were probably made up, but I just wasn't seeing that at the time. Far more concrete was the research I did on him. The private investigators I spent money on to dig around. The man hid his tracks well, I'll tell you that. I had some backdoor savings I had kept ever since I was cut off, to be used at my lowest low point. To me, researching Amadeus was a worthwhile way to spend that money. You get a good guy from outside Hightower, give them time, give them some leads, and they'll get quite a bit. Not enough to go to the court, barely enough to go to the press, but enough to fit what I knew. I didn't know when I decided to murder him. It began as my personal investigation of him. The next step was paramount to stalking. At some point, I saw a perfect opportunity coming up. By the time I followed him and Aaron to the bar, I felt like I couldn't turn back. Wait, what? Hold up. That a thing? Does the Zodiac trial plan come about? It wasn't about boosting my career. I want that to be clear. I could have made it on my own. Hey, you know those shows where some plucky teenager, maybe a group of teenagers, they're faced with some horrible secret. Usually it's something they did, something they're responsible for. But then for a number of episodes it creates drama, you know. Will the secret come out? And almost invariably, unless you're in a certain genre, the secret will be exposed and there will be fallout. You know what that happens? Why that happens? Because the writers want to give those teens good endings. You know what a true curse is? It's not getting your comeuppance. It's having to live, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Humans are great at adaptation. With most things, enough time passes, you forget about it, you live with it. But if you do what I did, pin a murder conspiracy on a high-profile person like Amadeus and get someone else executed for it? Not a day went by, not even a couple of hours, where a pang of fear didn't randomly clutch at my heart. I was constantly reminded of how fragile my existence was. How at any moment it could all come tumbling down. It was maddening. I mean that literally. I was going insane hiding that secret. And I thought of the person who saw me right in the act of stealing the card. The kid who knew something was wrong. The man who was once more detailed testimony. Who was one more detailed testimony from cracking open my plan. You should know, once you kill one person, you're no longer a person. You're a killer. And you can kill again. Murder unlocks options in your brain. Distances you from normal morality, I guess. When you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And you know, who's gonna miss some criminal leading a violent gang? An old man who's got but so many years left. Unhinged teen who was already off the deep end. These people seemed... I don't know why I'm still trying to justify myself. Why are you even asking this question? Next one, please. So essentially... he was far enough gone where... Like, you slide over the line, you do something unforgivable. You either come back over, get your comeuppance and atone, or you slide further down that slope of darkness and do more crime to keep your secret safe, so to speak. In his view, living, waiting for that shoe to drop, that felt like the way out for him. Again, it's very wrong, but in his mindset at the time, that felt like the way out. What is this? Oh, that. Wait, why didn't I? Not to mention it, that's definitely strange. The whole thing was automated, so... Maybe Monkey really cared about me and never armed my bombs, because she never intended to kill me. Yeah, right. Okay, I'm remembering now. That survival was thanks to yours truly. See, actually, I actually helped design those contraptions before the whole kidnapping thing. Monkey told me they were for dealing with the getaways. Because of that, I knew how to safely disarm them, and so when I had some time to myself in round 1, I did that promptly. Smart, right? Well... Oh... Oh, Rooster was in the library bleeding out from the neck at the time. So he wouldn't have input his action. Shit. That's a good point. Damn. What do you think is gonna happen next? I mean, if I wake up, I could try and fight the legal troubles. I'd probably do quite well. The first death game was meticulously crafted. Brian did 95% of it, and proving my involvement in any way, it'd be near impossible. Only testimony against me comes from a totally unreliable witness who, by the way, is dead now. Second death game I actually didn't have anything to do with. Monkey's death is legitimate self-defense, not just for me, but for Mouse and the whole group. No one could fight that. And Amadeus Bowen's murder. The covered knife with my blood on it isn't great, I'll have to admit. But you know, with how corrupted everything around that whole case is, good luck finding a court willing to convict without everything being blown up. Regardless of how the wind blows, the infection in this city is sure to be burned away. With that gone, I could easily call for a mistrial, and probably succeed. So really, I'm kinda home free. But, nah, I don't think that's the route I'm taking. Even if I don't get convicted, my life will be over if I wake up. I've already had my share of hiding secrets, of acting 24/7. It'd be best for everyone if I just fessed up and played the repentant sinner. Fair point. And you coming forward with all that crap is definitely going to start a lot of fires that light a lot of shit that needs to be burnt on fire. Very much so. Very, very much so. Do you regret anything? Are you kidding? I regret a whole hell of a lot. I regret getting into the fight I did with my parents. I regret getting involved with Amadeus Bowen. I regret getting involved with Monkey. I regret getting manipulated by her. I regret letting the Zodiac trial plan get as far as it did. I regret going along with it once it was in motion. I regret profiting from it when it was over. I regret allowing Monkey to clean up after everything, essentially signing the death warrant of Mouse, Snake, Dragon, and Dog. I regret not immediately outing Monkey when the second death game began. But you know my two biggest sins? The two people I actually killed with my own hands. I don't think I regret either one of those. Fair point. Amadeus Bowen was an awful human being who deserved to die. And Monkey J was objectively too far gone to be saved. Okay. Well, no more questions. Let's talk again soon. Alright. Let's jump right into our next contender. My boy Dog. Hi, Dog. Well, this is unexpected. Alright, I'll bite. What's going on? Questions? I'm the one supposed to be answering questions. Feel like I got a couple questions myself. Why I'm not dead being the principal one. But you know, whatever. Screw it. Ask away. Oh, how'd you even ever become friends with Oliver? I don't know. On the force, there weren't a lot of good options. He seemed decent enough. Could play cards, went drinking with me. Funny enough, nice enough, good with the conversation. If I had some dramatic story about our bond, about how he saved my life in the line of duty, well, maybe would have made my actions more understandable. But now, well, we really just hung out because we worked together. A few years of that, you start calling yourselves friends. I know that having worked in the same place for about 5 years now, I get that feeling. Like even if you don't do much outside of work, you've been around the same people for 5 years, get along with them. Yeah, why not? Do you regret not doing anything about all this for so long? Duh. If you have to ask someone if they regret something, the answer is usually yes. Doubly so if the person you're asking is dead. Triply so if the person you're asking is murdered. If they were murdered for something relating to said mistake, then 100 times yes, they regret it. If you want to know why I didn't do anything for so long, I guess I'd chalk it up to a sense of helplessness. The time I really got the full picture of everything, I was a washed-up drunk who ran a bar. Not exactly the type to have a lot of influence in any real way. Even knowing the situation, it's not like I knew how to stop it. I didn't know what to do. I knew that whatever I should do, I probably couldn't. I'd go against my friend Oliver. Not that I was overly loyal to him, but more importantly, unnecessary meddling could easily get me killed. Well, I ended up getting killed regardless, so... Anyways, it wasn't the right approach. I knew that. But if Oliver had the sin of envy, mine was the sin of sloth. It wasn't until Brian, with his sin of wrath, made a move that I decided to get off my ass and do something. Anything specific make you quit the police? Nope. I mean, I could tell you the story of the case that broke the camel's back. It's an awfully sordid affair, involved a money laundering scheme and this girl with white hair. To be honest, some parts of that case still confuse me. To emphasize that one would be missing the point entirely. What if there's actually a story to that? Maybe that's a reference to another game, I don't know. The thing that got me, the thing that always gets people, is never one incident. It's the constant incidents, piling up one after another, until it's too much to take. It wasn't some moral stance. It wasn't a practical measure. I was just tired, and tending bar was easier. Are you upset at how everything played out? Where exactly do you get off asking a dead person something like that? Yeah, I see it as my head's currently filled with lead. I'm not thrilled. I mean, I make jokes and all, but at the end of the day, I'd still prefer to be alive. But that's life, I suppose. That's that, and this is this. At my death, my interference helped shake things up even somewhat. Well, then I guess it's fine. Anything I never got a chance to say? I mean, there's plenty of things I never got to say. Nothing profound or anything like that. If anything, I'd apologize to Brian, maybe. Tell off Oliver. Say a couple of goodbyes. Nothing out of the ordinary. Simple enough. Any advice? You're asking me for advice. Wow, I don't even have something funny lined up for that. All I can say is to learn a little something from me. I did nothing for a long time and things got bad. I did something and I died. Both those outcomes kinda suck. Which one's cooler? Yeah, thinking about it more, I'm satisfied with how I went out. I made an impact. You should try to as well. Don't hesitate. Act. Don't be complacent. Don't hesitate. Don't suffer dog sin of sloth. There's something you've been meaning to do that feels intimidating, overwhelming. This is Dog's motivation for you. He believes in you. Once you do it, once you do it, you can get through it. You just have the hardest part is getting started. Psyching yourself up to just get up and do the thing. For now, though, no more questions. Later. Oh, goodbye. Oh, hello. Well, let's talk to Pig. Let's talk to Pig first. Whoa, what's going on? I was hacking a computer and I'm back at my home? Wait, who are you? You. Head. It hurts. What's going on? I don't know. Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. Looks like it worked. What? Hey there. Glad I was able to make it. Imagine you might have some questions, yeah? Yeah, that's fair. Okay then, what do you want to ask? Huh. Oh, hello. What's going on here? Well, Pig here is in purgatory, as are a number of characters who are either dead or near death. What? But I'm not Pig. What? I'm the creator of the story you just experienced. And I also wanted to answer some questions about everything. Only problem is I didn't exactly have a body to inhabit for the interview. So, well, Pig was just sort of sitting here. I don't actually really had a lot of deep revelations to reveal. You say that this is a bit too meta. And to that, I'd ask how else you'd handle this. You could also say that this is just stupid, and to that, I'd just sort of shrug. I mean, fair. But we're already here, so... alright. Give some insight on the story. You mean right here? All at once? That seems a little tiresome. Okay, how about this? Do you want me to just chime in throughout the story as a sort of commentary track? Of course, if there are still routes you're blind to, maybe think twice about this. It'll have spoilers all over the place. Sure, why not? Maybe we'll go back and do some of that at a different point in time. Alright, cool. Consider it done. What inspired all this? With the disjointed natures of all the routes didn't give it away, there was a lot of different inspirations at play. In a sense, all the media I've consumed up to this point had a hand in creating this. If I had to narrow it down to a few, I'd be remiss to not start off by mentioning the inspiration I took from a certain trilogy of death games. Sort of death games where you have a, no escape, zero escape? Honestly, a lot of the DNA of various visual novels is incorporated into this game. That's the most direct inspiration. There was this one show which I don't think was even that amazing, but it was a battle royal based on the Chinese Zodiac game. Oh, really? I was already interested in them, but that series definitely brought them back to mind. Also, the film 12 Angry Men was a big inspiration. Okay, I can respect that. That sounds weird, but a big thing is that this Zodiac trial is actually the second version of this story that I've done. Originally, it was a short, regular novel. Oh, really? It was a lot different from this story. A different setting, different game mechanics, and a different backing plot, different twists, and mostly different characters. It had a similar premise, and I thought it was a strong one. When it came to creating a visual novel with a limited number of people and locations, well, I knew adapting that first version of the story could work. So I did. The original version was a little more streamlined. I think it incorporated all the elements into one story a bit smoother. That was a short novel, and this was a big, sprawling visual novel. Overall, I far prefer this version. I do like this version, although I am very curious to know if the novel version of the original implementation of this story still exists. Because I would read that, legitimately. All this. What happens next? I assume you're asking what comes next in the story, right? Well, the thing is, there's no way I'm going to tell you that. If I did that, there'd be no way to tease for a sequel, huh? Besides that, I don't think you'd ever You ever really want to hear everything that happens in a character's life after the story ends? Really, I don't want to answer this question at all. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have some thoughts on the matter. Like Ox mentioned, Rooster recovered. He's definitely going to jail, going to try and repent. But he's still alive. Mouse is definitely going to keep in touch with some members of the Zodiac jury. I mean, how could you not? But it's not like after everything is said and done, Hightower is fixed or anything. It's a broken city, and these events were the start of the change, not the end of it. There are definitely a few loose ends in the story as is. I think it'd be wishful thinking to assume Mouse's troubles are over, regardless of what she did with that flash drive. I think that's all I'll say on the matter. I like that. What should I take from all this? I don't know. Whatever you want to take from it. Death of the author and what have you. I'm a little unclear about what that question even means. Are you asking me to try and spell out the moral of the story? Sure, because I don't really want to do that. Why do you think the story has a moral? At least not an explicit one. And whatever's there, I want people to take it their own way. You know, in the original Zodiac trial, I made a big point to give all characters a case against them, and a defense. Oh. I explicitly wanted to leave it open to the reader's opinion who was worse than who was more culpable than who. Even the mastermind could be argued in favor of. I like that. Now, in this version of the story, I'm a little less inclined to treat all characters equally. I think Mouse, Bunny, and Monkey all have equal levels of culpability. Well, that's certainly not what I was going for. But I still think there's a lot of room for interpretation in this story, about a lot of things. Ultimately, take what you want from all this. If you wanted a fun story with puzzles and murder mystery cases, I hope you enjoyed the tricks and riddles spread throughout the game. I did. If you're looking for an interesting character study, I hope everyone's backstories and interactions gave you enough. There were certainly quite a few characters worthy characters there. If you're looking for a serious tale with themes of free will or justice, I hope there was enough content of that nature for you to chew on. If you look at the overarching plot, you can definitely get that. Nothing else, I hope you found something worthwhile in all this. I respect that. Take what you will. Try to give something good on all fronts. Whatever you're looking for, I hope I gave you enough to satisfy you. I respect that. And you know what? You did. Well done, friend. Unlike the other interviews. I suppose we should see what the actual conditions were. The other interviews, huh? Let's see. Well, Dog's always been a sucker for games, but also puzzles. Get all the puzzles found in this tale correct, he's sure to talk. Beneath everything, Rooster does really care. Give everyone a happy ending, or at least give a happy ending to everyone who can get one, he's sure to appear. Then there's Monkey. He's partial to those who imitate her in some way. Oh, so if we take all endings? If you run through all the possibilities just like her, collect a full deck, she's bound to have something to say. If you talk to those three, there's one more person who you should probably speak with. They're the final unlock. Or actually, between you and me. If you talk to everyone, there's a chance you can listen in on someone else, someone not really a part of this story. It's only possible to those who haven't received help. It's possible that option's already gone for good. Unfortunately, it is in my file. If that's right, don't feel too bad. That one's really not someone you need to be listening to. So yeah, there are some tips. Okay. Friend. Thank you so much. It has been a hell of an experience. Let me tell you. Definitely. I think something I might have said at a few points at the end of some routes is that it could use polish in many places. Like a thorough script proofread to catch small stuff that made it through. Misplaced names, some grammar stuff, some odd typos. Use a bit of polish there. Like, the ultimate dream remaster scenario is to raise money to get some more CGs for certain scenes. There's a lot of action and stuff. Scenes which are just black screen backgrounds. Which, somewhere down the line, I'd love to see more CGs added, but that's just a future polish thing, which I don't know. That's something that will only be considered if the game brings in enough money, and most importantly, if the creator wants to do it. So my dream wish list doesn't matter in that scenario, but for what it is, this is a fantastic game overall. That's so much more than the premise of 13 routes. 13 routes with various topics, in various genres of sorts. It's so much more than that. And you know what? That was well hidden. The late twists and the true plot that came together, that was well hidden beyond the initial premise, and that's just still unbelievably impressed at how that came together. So just nothing but respect. For now, though, no more questions. See you around. Let's talk to our last friend, shall we? Hi, Brian. Welcome. I'm the Jade Emperor. No, that's not right. Hi, I'm Brian. I've been stuck here, tied to this chair, watching everything unfold on these screens. I guess it's a sort of hell? Now the screens have turned black, and you're here. Guess that means you're here to take me to wherever I'm now supposed to go? Questions? I mean, sure, if you want. Can't promise you'll like my answers, though. What was Aaron Morris like? You wanna know what my father was like? That's pretty cruel. For the record, he was really great. Don't just take my word from it. Most would agree. Yeah, around work he might not have been the most pleasant. How could you with that sort of job? He was as good as a dad as I could ask for. He always made time for me. He helped me when I was feeling down. He gave me good advice. He pampered me. He was like a friend to me, more than just a parent. More than anything, he had integrity. He wasn't the type to back down from a fight. He could have taken a plea deal, you know? But he didn't, because he was innocent. I remember so vividly back then, back when his trial was raging. The things said about him on the news, online, they were just objectively wrong. Made him out to be a bad person, and that couldn't be farther from the case. I think that's what really cemented my belief in how wrong everything was. The world I saw around me was just upside down from my own reality. I refused to believe that I was the one in the wrong. The sad thing is, your viewpoint was totally legitimate. Like, I could see cases where you could put on a good face for your family, be the ideal dad, but also be a complete monster behind the scenes. But everything we know about the man says that Brian's perception was right. And it was the city that made Aaron Morris out to be a monster. Butterfly tattoo. Is this the question why I have a butterfly tattoo? Or why I have a tattoo at all? To answer the second question, I was feeling particularly rebellious and had some change in my pocket. To answer the former, I've always been fascinated by the butterfly effect. I explain it, but come on, you know what the butterfly effect is. The idea that such minor decisions could ripple into world-altering elements. It's both empowering and frightening. It's oddly beautiful. If I was going to get a tattoo, I thought a butterfly would be a nice image. There's really not a lot more to it beyond that. How'd you come around to hosting the Zodiac trial? It's simple, really. I became obsessed with the darkness of Hightower. It enveloped everything else. Which, to be clear, wasn't hard. I never really did good in school. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any passions or desires, no idea what I wanted to do with my life. After everything that happened, it's not like our family could afford a fancy college or really anything. Looking toward the future, there was nothing to reach for. All I saw ahead of me was emptiness. In the face of that, when confronted with something that seemed to me like such a huge problem, such a huge injustice, it seemed reasonable to spend all I had to at least accomplish one meaningful thing. I never made it clear in the game. I was killed before I could explain myself further, but it wasn't actually about vengeance. I mean, it was partially about that, for sure. Everyone who I planned to put through the ringer deserved it. But I designed everything so that any reasonable group should be able to get through it with everyone alive. So long as nobody acted incredibly selfish or hateful or stupid, there was an out for everybody. My actual motivation was to find the truth. See, I had microphones installed in the neck devices, gathering so many people involved with the corruption case, making it clear why they were gathered, and forcing them to both compete and cooperate. Well, I figured it was the perfect situation. They were bound to let the truth come free. If I made it clear that that was what I was going for, well, I'd never get anywhere. In the darkness of all the game mechanics and competition and whatnot, with their minds fixated on the event. It was naive, but I hoped I'd be able to reach the truth. A truth. It's all very noble sounding. I'm not that noble. It was also about vengeance. Fair enough. How'd you actually do this? In a word, dedication. Our family wasn't rich, but if you're not looking for the future, you can amass funds pretty easily. Just sell a lot. The hardest part by far was creating the neck devices. There was a metalwork shop not far from my house that was willing to let me work on projects with a fair amount of discretion. Actually getting the mechanics to work took the longest time. But it's the age of the internet. If you're clever enough, dedicated enough, and look online a lot, you can figure out how to do pretty much anything. And it's not like they were particularly sophisticated designs. Once I designed one, it was all downhill from there. Programming the tablets, the phones, the operating system, that was all child's play in comparison. I knocked that one out in a 3-day weekend. In terms of setting everything up, I did my research on the school ahead of time.
Hell, you could have had a good career in software development, dude. It's a shame that you got led down this road.
In terms of setting everything up, I did my research on the school ahead of time. Figured out how to get in ahead of time. Figured out what I need to set up. Getting a hold of the weapons was painfully easy. Really should have been harder than it was. But kidnapping as many people as I did, if you do your research, turns out most people aren't prepared to be kidnapped. The thing about kidnapping is that usually the hard part is to do it where you're not caught. If I knew one way or another, my identity would be getting out when all was said and done. The game would take place not long after I kidnapped everyone, so I didn't need to buy that much time. All in all, it was totally achievable. It took a lot of time, a lot of money, but it's a death game, you know? It's not like it'd be easy. Honestly, the fact that I was able to do it all by myself was pretty impressive, at least I think.
Interesting.
Who you selected for the trial? Obviously, I need to select people worthy of punishment. And if the plan was to work, I needed people of various levels of involvement with the conspiracy. If the people were too on the same page, there wouldn't be enough conflict and the truth might not come out. so my selections were well thought out. The mouse was supposed to be Richard Brill, the judge behind the case. His decisions in my father's trial were so inept that he was either deeply corrupt or terminally stupid. Either way, he had earned his place. Ox was the prosecutor, whom I had every right to believe was in on the conspiracy. He was the one most responsible for my father's death. The choice of Tiger was a bit off the wall, but I think it was inspired. Not only was her testimony, the one about my father holding the weapon, clearly bullshit, but she had an interesting history. She was unstable, dangerous, having killed her mother. Then she got away scot-free, probably by abusing the same system that killed my dad. Yeah, she was a good choice. In another world, Tiger probably could have empathized, that, easy for me to say, with Rooster's plight, or with Brian's plight. I think Brian could have too, but he saw Tiger not getting punished for killing her mom as just another injustice by the corrupt city, instead of a just outcome based on the abuse that Tiger had lived through growing up. Your mileage might vary. Maybe it was justified, but maybe justified or not, but justified or not, overkill or not, it was the matter of Tiger being a tall and strong, and her mother admittedly being frail and smaller. So, it's a definite mismatch, but in a better world, I feel like Brian could have empathized more with Tiger's plight. Bunny I felt no sympathy towards. Understandable. I couldn't tell how much he was involved, but he had killed an innocent nonetheless, and that was good enough for me. Dragon was supposed to be Oliver Bowen. Interesting. His spot on my list should be obvious. The snake was supposed to be Anna Red. Look at her history, and she's done a ton of shady shit in the corporate world. There's just cause for throwing her in. Anna Red, where did I hear that name before? She was also close with Amadeus, so she could possibly spill some info. Horse was a pick I was unsure about, but I thought he might stir things up. His past was definitely fucked up enough to warrant throwing him in the death game. He was also contracted by Amadeus, so I thought he might spill some info on the heat of things. Sheep was a pure revenge pick. She was the one who threw my father under the bus. She was a coward. She was pathetic. She was also Amadeus' secretary, and the one with a lot of opportunity to do any number of things. Wasn't sure if she was the real killer or an accomplice, or if she was involved in some way, or even if she wasn't involved in any way. But I had no hesitation with throwing her in. The monkey was supposed to be the chief prosecutor. Ah. If Ox wasn't corrupt, she certainly was. If she wasn't corrupt, Ox was. But most likely they were both in on it. Rooster was going to be the head of this newspaper company. They'd be put in for the same reason I put in Pig. They were a tool used to slander and kill an innocent man. They deserved punishment, but they were one of the ones more likely to break rank and say something they shouldn't. Finally, there's Dog. I was unsure about Dog. I knew he knew more than he ever let on. I knew he knew more than he ever let on. And I gotta get my Brian voice back after fixing this. And that alone was enough of a sin for me. Who knows? He ever decided to sit down with me, to really talk things out and explain everything from his point of view. Things could have played out very differently.
So what are your thoughts on how everything played out?
There's a lot to regret, obviously. Looking back on it now, I'm pretty sad I died. That part was very unnecessary. I feel stupid looking at how Monkey used me. I feel stupid that Rooster, my main target, I was never even suspicious of. I feel bad that I got so many innocent people involved. Dog and Pig both died. While I hold contempt for both of them, I can see now that neither of them probably deserved that. So yeah, things didn't go perfectly. But you know, I was right.
Yeah.
You have that. Because of me, Monkey's dead. Rooster's caught. Hightower's on fire, and my father's name is being cleared. And really, that's just what I wanted. Things have gone better? Sure. But to complain too much would be just whiny. I got what I wanted. That's good enough for me.
Fair enough. Last question. What's with that giant zipper that's running diagonal on your hoodie?
That just seems impractical, dude.
I mean, come on. Okay, not gonna...
Because, it's also kind of nice to get to actually talk to Brian.
Like, for the first time, legitimately, we're talking live to Brian. With actual Brian and not recorded Brian, or Monkey being Brian over text-to-voice, voice changer nonsense. Actual Brian. The one who had very different plans for this trial.
And you know what? Thinking about things, I can kind of see if the original Zodiac trial plot was just the Zodiac trial as Brian envisioned it, revealing the conspiracy and the truth of the trial. I can see that, because the overarching plot added, which was the true death of Amadeus Bowen, and the actions of the masterminds, and their goals, putting certain people in the game, outside of Brian's original choices. The game is essentially about taking the original... would be essentially about taking the original story, the original goals, and twisting it to meet their own needs. Which, in a gameplay to story integration, is Monkey running the numbers and trying to figure out which series of choices within Brian's game leads to the outcome she wants. That's still... I still absolutely love that twist. I still absolutely love that. Not gonna lie. But... alas. Brian? You deserve justice. Hopefully you can take solace in the justice that came out now. Thanks to Mouse and Friends. But, alas, no more questions! So is this finally the end? It is, in fact, the end. I suppose... it's gonna take a lot of work. Maybe I'll kinda... do something with that, because in theory I can just skip through. Since I've seen all the routes, I can skip through and only capture certain paths. To an extent. Just to see the director's commentary, the creator's commentary on certain routes. So that would be I can't guarantee that'll come out next Tuesday, but I say we've reached the point in certain playthroughs where got a lot of put in the work to get bonus videos out and stuff. So in this case, we have
director's commentary. If you want to see director's commentary, let me know. And of course, another video I promised where I plan to break down and rank each character's route from least favorite to most favorite. And I'll try and actually do a proper breakdown of motivations, what took place. A theme of sorts. Explain what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it. And hey, maybe I'll get some of it wrong, but ultimately it's gonna be an opinion piece as I delve into the snooty video game analysis corner of the YouTube market. I mean, I've wanted to do it for quite a while now, but so look for that in the next week or so. For now, though, we bid farewell to the trial. I think I've covered my thoughts several times over, but for now, by now, but gotta say, I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that you guys enjoyed it. Really glad. As we say farewell to Hightower, I say to you, thank you for watching. Until next time, until then,